There's this manhwa I read on Webtoon that at first I didn't enjoy. I thought it was generic, I thought the pace was too slow. There wasn't anything that really caught my eye with this series. But a few weeks ago, I saw that there was going to be an anime released for this series. And from the cover shot they posted on Instagram, it looked pretty good to me. So I decided to give this series another go. What could make it so good that it gets an anime adaptation? This series is called Eleceed by Jaeho-sun and Zena. It's about a teenager named Jiwoo Seo who's an adamant cat lover, but also has this power to become super fast. Throughout his life, he's tried to hide this power, thinking it was a disease because no one else had anything similar. His mother even went into the medical field just to find a cure for this so-called disease. But one day, as he's feeding some stray cats, they lead him to this back alley, where he finds an orange cat that's been injured. Jiwoo takes this cat in to help him, but it turns out that this orange cat is Caden Break, one of the strongest awakened ones in this world, and he's turned into a cat to recover from a life-threatening injury. Awakened ones are people with exceptional powers, kind of like quirks in My Hero Academia, but only a very small amount of the population has these powers, and you aren't limited to just one power. Others can teach you their powers, and you can have a multitude of them. In this case, Jiwoo's power is super speed. From this encounter with Caden, Jiwoo is then exposed to the world of awakened ones, as in fact, he is one himself, and takes on the world, going into an Awakened One academy, fighting against stronger opponents, and so on. What brought me into this series initially was the uniqueness of this plot. I thought it was funny how someone could turn into an animal and talk and do that kind of stuff. There's not really any other stories like that on Webtoon, or in manga or anime. But when I first read this series about a year ago, I didn't like how slow it was. This series has a very slow build-up, and a lot of major details about the characters, or even the situations, don't get revealed until a few chapters in. And this series is relatively long, so you'll be learning more and more about the world and the characters as you read. The chapters also feel more long and drawn out in the beginning. I don't know why that is, but it just felt that way when I first read it. Fast forward to today, and I read this series again a few days ago, and it was really good. I picked it up at the moment where Jiwoo and his friends go to the Awakened One Academy. That's where I stopped previously. From that point on, that's when the series gets really good, and that's when it starts to become really addicting to read. From that point, I read 180 chapters in 2 days and caught up with the series 2 days later, and I don't regret it. This series is one of, if not my favorite series on Webtoon, even more than Windbreaker and Lookism. Eleceed is a series that I initially thought was very overrated for its slow start, but as I progressed through the series, I find out that I just kept wanting more and more of it. I hadn't felt this way with any other series I've read, on Webtoon, or in manga, or with anything. The pacing for the rest of the story gets a lot better as well. Fights are done within a couple of chapters, and a lot happens when fights aren't occurring. The development of each character is really good too. Jiwoo and Caden are very multi-dimensional, though I am looking forward to seeing more of Caden's backstory when that's written. Jiwoo's friends are also very developed plot-wise. Jisuk and Subin are both very good characters, and Wooin was probably my third favorite character in the beginning, but I wish they put more spotlight on him in the later chapters. He kind of seemed like a nicer Sasuke in the beginning, but he becomes more of a side character as you read on, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Other than that, you got Cartain, the healer who's introduced much later in the story, Pluton, the defense guru, who's introduced even later in the story, and you got the strongest awakened one in South Korea, Ji-young, who are all very great characters. I honestly didn't find a single bad character in this series. I love how everyone is designed very differently. You could tell who's who in this series because nobody looks very similar to one another or acts similar to one another. Now that I've gone over the pros of this series, what are the cons? Well, for starters, the slow start. I don't personally like how there are many loose ends in this series. You get a strange event that happens, the main characters escape, and that's it. Maybe they'll close up some of these loose ends later, or maybe I just missed them. But I seem to notice this a lot in Eleceed. I'm someone who likes to see things out and find closure very important, but that could just be a personal pet peeve of mine, and it may not be a turnoff for you. But with all that, I'll give this series a 9.5 out of 10. Honestly, this series is pretty on par with Lookism, but I personally like Eleceed better. But for anyone who hasn't read Eleceed, I highly suggest you read it. I personally think it's better than most shonen manga and anime, and it's definitely a diamond in the rough when it comes to fighting series. But let's talk about the anime. I've seen the teaser, I've seen the graphic that was posted on social media. I'm personally very excited about this anime. Judging from the few seconds of anime footage in the teaser, I think it'll turn out to be very good visually. I do see some 3D animation going on here, which I don't really mind. I like 3D animation, unless it's used in something like Kengan Ashura or Berserk 2016. That's when it gets bad. But with something like this, it doesn't look too bad. One thing I'm not looking forward to is that with all webtoon anime adaptations I've seen in the past, I've noticed that they'll do one season of about 12 episodes and that'll be it. They'll cover the first 30 chapters or so of a series in anime format out of the 300 plus initial chapters in their associated webtoon series. And they usually don't make any more episodes past these initial 12. Do I expect the Eleceed anime to catch up with its source manhwa? If I'm being honest, unless they try to cut corners and cut out many details, which I don't want them to do, I don't expect the Eleceed anime adaptation to catch up with the source manhwa, but I hope that this anime will cover events after chapter 60, eventually, because that's when, in my opinion, the series gets really good. Do I expect it to be covered in the first season? No, I don't want them to cut out major events to try to catch up with its original story. But all in all, I really want this anime to succeed. I want it to be as successful as Solo Leveling, as that's a similar manhwa that was adapted into an anime successfully. I'll be seeing every episode of the Eleceed anime when it comes out next year. And with that, that'll be the end of this video. Are you excited for the Eleceed anime? Have you read the manhwa? What did you think of the series? If you like this video, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to see more content like this. And until then, I'll see you all in the next one.